In the West, we typically define a major world religion by a single monolithic text. It's a foundational blueprint, bound securely between two covers. We see this exact structural model in the Islamic tradition. A vast, complex theology is anchored entirely to the singular authority of the Quran. Because of this norm, there is a pervasive assumption that Sanatana Dharma operates the same way, that the Bhagavad Gita serves as the equivalent singular authority for Hindus. Equating the Gita to a Hindu Bible is a structural category error. It misrepresents how this specific knowledge system was built. Forcing a single book framework onto Sanatana Dharma flattens its architecture. It takes a highly sophisticated, multi-layered civilizational structure and reduces it to a footnote. This tradition does not rely on one text. It operates as a vast, interconnected taxonomy of knowledge, an epistemological tree. To understand the actual architecture of Sanatana Dharma, we have to map this scripture tree, layer by layer, starting from the roots and moving upward into the canopy. This framework charts the engineering requirements of a society. It organizes the mechanics of grammar, the protocols of medicine, and the rigorous logic of metaphysics into one continuous system. Building this map provides a cohesive, logical structure for thousands of texts, showing exactly how they support and rely on each other. This diagram maps the foundation of the entire system. At the base, we find 4 primary root nodes, the Vedas. These represent the theoretical axioms of the tradition: the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, the Sama Veda, and the Atharva Veda. In this architecture, theoretical data is never isolated. Every root axiom generates an immediate applied science, known as an Upaveda. For example, the principles of the Yajur Veda channel directly into the medical science of Ayurveda. The Atharva Veda connects straight onto the economic and political engineering of the Arthashastra. This basal layer ensures that the highest truths of the civilization are permanently anchored to practical, civilizational engineering. But theoretical axioms and applied sciences are highly vulnerable to degradation over time. They require rigorous preservation protocols. To solve this, the system generates 6 protective layers, called the Vedangas. These provide the rigid linguistic and astronomical scaffolding, like grammar and phonetics, needed to lock the original data in place. From this secure base, the central trunk emerges. These are the Upangas, which translate the protected knowledge into the structural codes of human society, detailing jurisprudence and sociology. This is also where the system encodes its history. A massive section of this trunk belongs to the Itihasas, the living historical epics of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. These are sweeping, chaotic narratives mapping complex human behavior, statecraft, and intense conflict at a massive scale. High-level axioms only survive the test of millennia when they are encoded into accessible, culturally resonant stories. At the top of the trunk, the system expands into a vast canopy of philosophical inquiry known as the darshanas. Notice the strict structural division here. This maps a core epistemic split. On the left are the Astika schools, which accept the underlying authority of the root nodes. On the right, the Nastika schools, which reject them. The Astika side branches into 6 distinct engines of thought. 2 of the most highly developed nodes in this canopy are Yoga and Vedanta. The Yoga branch maps the precise methodology of optimizing human physiology and cognition. It grounds abstract philosophical deduction in physical reality. The Nastika side is equally critical. It maps heterodox methodologies, organizing distinct systems of logic, like Jainism and Buddhism, into the broader intellectual ecosystem. Far from demanding singular obedience, this architecture functions as an open-source platform, meticulously organizing and mapping diverse philosophical inquiry. If we zoom deeply into the Vedanta node, we locate the philosophical peak of the entire structure. This peak is supported by 3 massive pillars, known collectively as the Prasthana Trayi. These core texts are the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, and finally, right here, we find the exact location of the Bhagavad Gita. But a civilization cannot survive on high philosophy alone. To translate the canopy back to the ground level, the system deploys the Agamas. The Agamas are the manuals for living, tangible practice. They govern the precise engineering of temple architecture, complex ritual methodologies, and active spiritual lineages. A living civilization requires both extremes to function: the abstract theoretical peaks of Vedanta and the concrete daily spiritual practice dictated by the Agamas. Stepping back, we can finally observe the completed scripture tree in its entirety, a perfectly organized map of human knowledge. Compare this immense structural reality to the reductionist myth of a singular Hindu Bible. The Bhagavad Gita sits at this specific intersection because it draws from every layer below it. It takes the historical crisis of the Mahabharata, applies the social ethics of the Smritis, and resolves them using the rigorous psychological tools of yoga and Vedanta. To grasp the Gita, you must understand the roots and axioms that make its existence possible. This taxonomy functions as the active operating system for a living civilization. For every modern practitioner today, it is a direct duty to study, preserve, and internalize these foundational structural coordinates. This intellectual cartography is our true origin. It is our actual legacy. Om Swasti.